1, 2, a legend to me and you. 3, 4, iconic roles galore. 7, 8, Craven's best mate. 9, 10, it's Robert Englund in the latest installment of our Horror Hall of Fame. Robert Englund's long and varied career in the arts kicked off at the tender age of 12 as part of a children's theatre program. A kid from California, his interest would lead him to UCLA for 3 years before dropping out and making the move to Oakland University in Michigan. It was there he would hone his craft of theatre acting, later going on to tour the plays of Shakespeare. It wasn't until after his first marriage had ended in 1972 that he returned to his old stomping ground in search of film work on the West Coast, which came in the form of Buster and Billy. Although it was only a supporting role, it would be the foot in the door Englund needed to start getting his film career on track. Small roles would follow in horror and science fiction films like Eaten Alive from Tobe Hooper and Galaxy of Terror produced by Roger Corman, as well as the underappreciated Dead and Buried, which despite not making much of a splash in 1977, would eventually be embraced as a cult favourite. And while he would miss out on landing a role in Star Wars after being encouraged to audition by our couch-crashing friend Mark Hamill, he would find success in a different science fiction property, Kenneth Johnson's 1983 miniseries V. The small-screen sci-fi hit spawned both a sequel and longer-running series. But despite this early success, the hungry actor couldn't shake the feeling his theatre background was being somewhat wasted, so he adopted a new approach when auditioning, and it wouldn't be long before the gamble paid off, with a role the actor could really sink his claws into. The character of Freddy Krueger, as created by writer-director Wes Craven, was an amalgamation of an elderly man he had once glimpsed walking outside his window, a boy he'd been bullied by at school by the name of Fred Krueger, and the DC Comics character Plastic Man. The casting of Englund was far from clear-cut, with the original choice David Warner having to drop out due to scheduling conflicts, while Jason Voorhees himself, Kane Hodder, also came close to playing the role. But upon seeing Englund's audition, Craven knew what his key villain lacked in height, he more than made up for in screen presence. Krueger was very purposefully engineered by Craven to fuel the nightmares of an entire generation of horror audiences, not only during the film's initial release, but in the years that followed thanks to the booming VHS market. Anyone who grew up in the 80s remembers the first time their older sibling brought home a worn-out old copy of Nightmare on Elm Street from the video store. But even if you feared Freddy, you wanted to see more of him, and more is exactly what fans got. To date, the series has spawned 9 installments, 12 novels, several comic book series, and a television show that ran during the late 80s. The first episode of which was directed by Tobe Hooper. With the exception of Dream Warriors and New Nightmare, Craven would mostly be absent from the many sequels to his game-changing original, but Englund would regularly return to his iconic character throughout his career. He is one of only 3 actors to play the same horror character 8 consecutive times, with Doug Bradley's Hellraiser and Tobin Bell's Jigsaw being the only other 2. And while he was busy playing Freddy in front of the camera, he was learning new tricks behind it, taking on his first directing gig for 1988's 976 Evil. Although it was by no means a hit, it gifted Englund with a wealth of valuable experience, while also allowing him to meet set decorator Nancy Booth, who would become his future wife. In between outings of the Elm franchise, he would enjoy a slew of television roles, playing Blackie in the short-lived television series Nightmare Cafe, before taking on smaller guest roles in hit shows like MacGyver, Knight Rider, and Walker Texas Ranger. This would continue well into the 90s, with the likes of Babylon 5, Sliders, and the anthology series Masters of Horror, which again saw the familiar faces of Craven and Hooper pop up in the director's chair once more. Back on the big screen, Englund and Hooper would collaborate on Night Terrors, while Wishmaster saw Craven in exec producing mode on an entirely new franchise, albeit one not nearly as successful as their first pairing. With the dawn of a new millennium came a new generation of writers and directors whose childhoods have been haunted by Englund, who now wish to cast him in their own projects. As the beloved horror icon wound his way into every corner of pop culture, he would take full advantage of this late career resurgence, following in the footsteps of his old buddy Mark Hamill, to carry out voice work on a string of animated television shows in the comic book realm, playing everyone from the Riddler to the Vulture. There were low-budget oddities like Jack Brooks, Monster Slayer, and Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, both of which paid homage to the slasher era, to which Englund was so integral. He would revel at the chance to play villains that didn't require layers of makeup in the likes of 2001 Maniacs, embrace new filmmaking trends with the crowd-funded Fear Clinic, and dip his toe into the world of gaming, playing the role of Scarecrow in Injustice 2.
Protect me.
Prayers won't save you.
Supplying the voice of Freddy for 2011's Mortal Kombat, and even portraying himself in a zombie map of Call of Duty Black Ops. He would also finally get the chance to direct his second film, with 2008's direct-to-DVD film, Killer Pad. And of course, there was always Freddy lurking in the darkness, whom Englund would return to play in the ill-conceived but highly lucrative Freddy vs. Jason. The film became the highest-grossing entry for both the Elm Street and Friday the 13th franchises, and would mark the last on-screen outing for the OG Freddy before the 2010 remake, when Jackie Earle Haley would take up the mantle. But the less said about that, the better.
You're it.
In more recent times, Englund's been keeping busy hosting a show about the supernatural and bagging a role in the upcoming season of Stranger Things. And while we probably won't be seeing him don the glove again anytime soon, with over 100 film and television roles under his belt and showing no signs of stopping, it's a safe bet he'll be commanding our screens and haunting our dreams for many years to come.
Tell him Freddy sent you.
Hey, thanks for watching our show. Please subscribe to our JoBlo Horror Videos channel. Tell your friends who like this sort of content. And turn on the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest videos. Listen, we're an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.